morning. Welcome to everybody to this opening ceremony of the 5th International Conference on CSR, Sustainability, Ethics and Governance. Well, I have the pleasure of sharing this presidential table with Mr. Nicolas Capaldi, President of the Global Corporate Governance Institute, Professor Pablo Coto, Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business Science of the University of Cantabria, Mr. Jaime Pérez Renovales, who is the General Secretary of the Banco Santander, and Professor Belén Díaz, which is the Chair of the Organizing Committee. So, in order to meet the schedule, and I am Ángel Pazos, Chancellor of the University of Cantabria. In order to meet the schedule, Professor Díaz, Chair of the Organizing Committee, has now the floor.
Thank you very much, Chancellor, and thank you all the people in the table, Jaime Pérez Renovales, Pablo Coto, and Capaldi, for joining us in this conference opening. Good morning and welcome to the 5th International Conference on Corporate Social Responsibility, Sustainability, Ethics and Governance. This is one of the largest international conferences focusing on responsible business. Santander Financial Institute and the University of Cantabria are very proud to collaborate with the Global Corporate Governance Institute and to host this conference, which is the 5th international gathering of this kind after successful events held in London, Nanjing in China, Cologne in Germany and Perth in Australia in previous years. Last year, Samuel Idowu from Metropolitan University of London in UK, René Smith-Peter from Cologne Business School in Germany, and Nick Capaldi from Loyola University in New Orleans in the USA offered me the opportunity to host this event. Since then, we have all worked to try to generate the best platform to deliberate on current issues about corporate social responsibility, sustainability, ethics and governance. So thank you very much for the chance to organize this event, for your support during these months, and for your enthusiasm and engagement in achieving the greatest network about these issues. It is a pleasure for me to be part of it. Thanks also to our main sponsors, our platinum sponsor, Santander Financial Institute, formed by the University of Cantabria and Santander Bank, and our silver sponsor, Securitas. More than 80 papers will be presented by academics and business representatives. 120 experts from over 20 nations will present their research and its practical implications for business, society, academia, and politics. Papers are organized in 21 panel sessions, all linked to corporate social responsibility, but considering topics such as the relationship between corporate social responsibility and performance, corporate governance, human resource management, responsible finance, ethics in education, digital revolution, regulation, reporting, sustainable business models, and the future of corporate social responsibility. Thank you to all the authors for their contributions to all this session. We have a lot of questions and very few answers. If 43% of Spanish enterprises consider corporate social responsibility to be valuable for their organizations, why only 15% systematically implement social responsibility initiatives? If corporate social responsibility has been found to be profitable for companies, why are they so reluctant to develop an active policy about corporate social responsibility inside the company? Why are there differences across country? Is it a cultural issue? Why is it necessary to leave a huge crisis to make politicians react and regulate certain issues about corporate social responsibility? And so on. This conference can be the best forum for sharing and learning from each other, and a place where ideas and visions for a sustainable future can grow. We are also very grateful to our keynote speakers and for their contribution to the same. Ángel Pérez Huixa, President of the Spanish Global Compact of the United Nations and Director of Corporate Social Responsibility and Reputation at CaixaBank, Nadia Nedel from Southern University Law Center, Víctor Jiménez Pérez, Human Resources Director of Securitas Group in Spain, Ted Mallock, CEO of the Roosevelt Global Governance Group, and Marta de la Cuesta, member of the Spanish Corporate Social Responsibility Board. We also have a complete social program to let delegates networking and to enjoy the amazing places Santander and Cantabria can offer. All the organizing committee wish you a very pleasant stay in Spain and on the University of Cantabria campus, and much success in your deliberation over the course of this conference. Thank you very much.
Well, now the Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business Science, Professor Cotto, has the floor.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. It's for me an honor, this act. For me, this ceremony of 5th International Conference on Corporate Social Responsibility, Sustainability, Ethics and Governance is very, very important today. It's very important today, in special in this School of Business and Economics. In economics, not only profit maximization, not only minimization of the costs. In our School of Business and Economics is very, very important, the corporate social responsibility. And thank you very much for Mr. Nicolas Capaldi, President of the Global Corporate Governance Institute. Thank you very much for Mr. Jaime Pérez Renovales, General Secretary of Santander Bank. Thank you very much for my Chancellor, Mr. Ángel Pazos, and thank you very much for Professor Belén Díaz, and thank you very much Santander Financial Institute and Professor Francisco Javier Martínez and others members for organization this 5th International Conference. Welcome for all, welcome everybody. Thank you very much.
Now it comes the intervention of Mr. Nicolas Capaldi, President of the Global Corporate Governance Institute.
Thank you. Yes. No. Can you all hear me? All right, terrific. Let me welcome you on behalf of the Institute and tell you just a little bit, in addition, about its history. At the beginning of this decade, the Springer Encyclopedia of Corporate Social Responsibility, under Sam Idawu's direction, was coming to an end. And we thought it would be a good idea to invite all of the people who had contributed to the encyclopedia so that they had some sense that they were not just isolated scholars, but that there was a very large community that was taking these issues seriously, and the depth and the breadth of the research certainly deserved more attention. So we decided to organize our first conference in London. I don't know what your experience has been at organizing conferences, but after you create this wonderful idea, you suddenly have this great fear that no one is going to show up at your conference. Fortunately, and it was a point in our organization where it looked as if we weren't going to have any participants. Fortunately for us, it turned out otherwise. And in retrospect, the Global Corporate Governance Institute is now looked at as a network, and is probably the largest network of scholars in the world that deal with corporate social responsibility. The other thing I think it's worth calling attention to is that we not only have the annual conferences, we also have a journal at this point. But we do have future conferences in mind, and I'm happy to announce that next June in 2019, we will be meeting in Abu Dhabi. So we're very excited about that and hope that some of you can join us there as well. Now, one question that usually comes up, and I asked this when I first started working in the area of corporate social responsibility. I spoke to someone who was a director of a graduate program, and I said, well, what do you do? And he said, well, we give PhDs to students in corporate social responsibility. And I said, and what do they do? Well, they apparently write papers. And who reads the papers that they write? Well, other people in corporate social responsibility. So it occurred to me that if you were in a prison or in a home for the mentally insane, no doubt there would be a great deal of daily communication amongst all of the members, but very little of a positive outcome that's likely to result. So is there a positive outcome that we look for? And I think the answer is yes. In addition to bringing scholars together, we also like to have some positive interaction with the business community. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this. Different parts of the world, there are different traditions, but traditionally there has been a kind of suspicion, if not hostility, between members of the academic world and members of the business world. And we think that's totally unnecessary, that in fact it would be difficult to claim that you are an educated person if you do not understand the importance of commerce in the modern world. And business schools are certainly directed toward that. And so our hope is not only to bring people together to share their scholarship and their ideas, but also to develop a positive synergy with members of the business community. Finally, let me conclude by saying that it is wonderful to have all of these great ideas and all of these emails that we send back and forth, but unless someone is willing to actually organize things on the ground, to do all of the small things that sort of magically appear in the background, nothing would actually be accomplished. So I want to take this opportunity not only to thank everyone at the table, but most especially to thank Belen Diaz for the absolutely splendid program that she has put together.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Jaime Pérez Renovales, General Secretary of Banco Santander, has the floor.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. No, for me, it's I want to express my gratitude for being invited to take part in this inauguration and to have the opportunity to sponsor this conference. I remember that the first time I read a paper about sustainability related to the banking sector, it was a paper produced by a former chairman of the Spanish Banking Association, and he said that the best way to contribute to society by the banks was having high earnings and paying very high taxes. So that was the way that they may contribute to their communities. Fortunately, things have changed a bit since that. We're happy paying taxes and contributed that way to our communities, but there are other ways that may well reflect the way we're trying to improve the communities where we work for. And let me explain how we try to do this in Santander Group. First, we have to have, as in any other group, a very strong tone from the top. So the key question in order to succeed in sustainability is to have a strong commitment from our board of directors. We have a robust corporate governance with a very diverse board of directors, pretty much engaged in the sustainability policy of the Santander Group as a whole. And we have a strategic quadrant with metrics that try to express how we do engage with our customers, with our employees, the shareholders, and the communities. And for instance, in employees, we have 200,000 employees all over the world. And we have stated last year a way to determine the variable compensation of the top managers in every country, in every of the main geographies where we carry out our activities. That means that when determining the bonus of each top manager, we pay attention to in a 60% of the objectives that they have to fulfill, and 40% about how they behave, how they meet the objectives that have been set in order to measure their performance. And how we do that? Well, the main source is on top of the other classic measurements like the 360 evaluation is an engagement survey that we have been performing for 5 years. That is fulfilled by the 2,100 employees all over the world where Santander have a presence, and where we ask our employees the extent to which their bosses help them to, for instance, have an adequate balance between personal and professional life, the extent to which they would recommend Santander as a place for working to their relatives or friends, and other similar questions. So the outcome of such an engagement is considered in order to determine the 40% of the variable compensation of our top managers. And this has entailed a big change in the way we pay our people. Regarding shareholders, we have 3 million shareholders, and we have paid them 3.5 billion last year, providing a total shareholder return of 16.6, which among the financial institutions is a very high figure. And communities. This is a key question for Santander. As you will know, we have a very strong commitment with universities, and we have devoted to that area 129 million of investment through 1,300 agreements with universities and academic institutions, providing the 45,000 scholarships through these agreements entered into with a great deal of universities. So all in all, and I would like to conclude saying that this engagement with our society is nowadays a must. In an environment where we're struggling to get talent in a strong competition with other entrants and with tech companies like Amazon, Google, not only belonging to the financial sector, but to other economic sectors, and bear in mind that this is a scarce resource. One of the things which is most considered by young, talented people in order to choose the place where they will be working is the extent to which we have a strong commitment with our communities. So that is a must, and that's something that every group should have in mind, because it would be the only way to have sustainable earnings and to succeed in the future. So let me conclude. Thank you again for providing me with the opportunity of taking part in this inauguration, and wishing that you have a very productive and fruitful conference. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I would like to welcome all of you to this meeting, to this university, to this faculty. Please feel at home, feel real at home. This is your home during the next days. Second, well, I would like to recognize all the work of the people who has worked in the organization of this meeting, especially Professor Belén Díaz, people from the SANFI, Santander Financial Institute. I see here Professor Martinez, General Director of the Foundation, the faculty, and all the people in general who have been involved in the organization of this conference. For me, it's really a pleasure that this conference about corporate social responsibility is being held here. Why? Because this is an issue that is now an issue of general interest. Probably 15 or 20 years ago, there was the idea that corporate social responsibility was an issue very important for companies, but now this is a general issue, and from the point of view of the universities, and especially from the point of view of public universities, all the aspects related to social responsibility, to sustainability, to good governance is now a must. And for the public universities, I think that this is a must from two different points of view. One point of view is the
direct activity of the university. We are educating new generations of people, and I think that we have a compromise of these young people has to come out with a real sense of social responsibility in all the activities that they will carry out in the future. Of course, in the area of business and economics, this is especially true. But in general, regardless the kind of formation, regardless the kind of study or the kind of training that they will receive in a university, it is extremely important that they will assume, this means that we have to be able to transmit to them all the aspects that the word social responsibility implies. This is, let's say, one sense. And the other one is that as an institution, the universities, we have now a clear duty to develop a real politics, a real strategy on sustainability in the different aspects: social sustainability, economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and a real strategy about which are our duties towards the society in terms of social responsibility. This is something that we are working in this university very intensely now to try to develop these two strategies, and this is why I am really happy to have this conference here, because I'm sure that all the discussions that you will have will be also useful in order to the universities to help them to define which has to be our general strategy about social responsibility. I think that the relationships between universities and companies and society in general are very important if we want to really work together and finally define a general position about social responsibility. So this is all. I wish all of you the best success. I'm sure that all the discussions and all the presentations, all the speakers, all the activity of this meeting will result in a clear success. And finally, I will take now, just for 20 seconds, the hat of mayor of the city in order to tell you that if you have also the time to visit Santander, to visit Cantabria, Santander is a very nice place. Cantabria is a very nice region, so don't miss the opportunity to to socialize and to visit a little bit of our city and of our region. And of course, again, and this is my final words, this is your home during all the time that you will be here in this meeting. Thank you very much, and I think that we can declare open the 5th International Conference on CSR. Thanks.